this video, we're going to go over Excel basics. And this is just one part of many parts in the video series. The purpose of this is really to explain the fundamentals of Excel and how to do inputting and basic navigation and stuff like that. So the first thing we need to look at is the terminology. So when you open up an Excel workbook, it is called a workbook, and then each sheet down at the bottom here is called a sheet or a tab. Okay, so you can have many sheets, and collectively they're all a workbook. And then on the sheet, each one of the intersections between row and column is called a cell. So this particular one would be called E9. It's kind of like Battleship. And then if you highlight a bunch of cells, either with the mouse or the keyboard, that's called a range of cells. And then up here at the top is the formula bar. So that's where you would edit text or formulas that are in the cells. And then there's also the ribbon here at the top, which has all your commands, and they're broken down by different tabs. So they're grouped based on information. So the first thing we want to know is how we input data. So all you do is you click on a cell. So I'll click on like A1 here, and then you just start typing. So we're going to make a little item list. When you're done with what you want to type, you just hit enter, and then it will take you to the next cell. And so we'll just fill this in. We're going to type some keywords here across the top, which are like headers. Okay, so we're done. So if we want to edit any of these, let's say we made a typo or we want to add to it, we can just click on the cell like description, and we can click on the formula bar, and then we could add to the formula or add to the description. The other thing we can do if you like keyboards is just hit F2. That'll take you right up to the formula bar, and you can change it as well. Okay, then as far as formatting text, you just highlight what you want. So let's say we want to make all these headings bold. We would highlight them and make them bold. You can certainly change the color to make them different colors if you'd like, and you can change the alignment, whether it's centered. You can change the font size, things like that. Okay, then the next step is let's say we want to size these columns. So let's say our item number is going to be pretty long. All we do is move to the vertical bar between A and B, click and drag it, and that will resize that particular column. If we highlight multiple columns just by clicking on the D and E and then size by doing the same process, it'll size both of them. And then if you notice here, this description here is getting cut off a little bit. So one thing you can do is you can just double click on the vertical bar, and it will best fit that particular column. In our case, we probably want to make it pretty big, but it doesn't matter. You can rearrange that. As far as the rows, it does the same thing. You can change the size of the rows. Of course, one of the great things is the undo tool, which is also Control Z, which is common throughout Windows. So you can undo if you've done stuff, and it'll actually undo historically. So it'll go back through over and over the things that you've done. And you can also change the column width and row height by right clicking and then going to column width, and then you could give it a specific width if you want to be exact, and you can do the same thing with the rows. Let's move on to deleting and inserting rows and columns. If I click on column C and I right click and say insert, it will insert a column to the left. So I hit insert, and there's my new column. And we don't really have any data here, but if we were to insert rows, it would insert rows above as well. So that's how you insert. If you want to delete, you just right click and delete the column, and it will move everything accordingly. Last thing I want to show you is just the sheets. So right now we have sheet 1 and 2 and 3 and some other ones. If you want to rename this, you just double click, name it new, whatever you want to call it, and hit enter. And And if you want to move that sheet, you just click and drag it, and you can rearrange the sheet to wherever you want it. So that's the fundamentals and basics of Excel. We're going to get more into some more details on other videos.